Hi everyone, I'm Rosie and welcome back to my channel. Although it's super convenient to buy pita and hummus, store-bought pitas are so thin and dry and the hummus is usually lacking in flavor, so I learned how to make my own. My pitas are so soft and fluffy and go perfectly with creamy hummus. You can make the pitas in the oven or on the stovetop, and I'll show you both ways in this video. Homemade pita and hummus taste so much better and is a lot cheaper. Once you see how easy it is to make these, you'll never want to buy them from the store again. Let's get started. I'm going to prepare the chickpeas. You could do this the day before you want to make the hummus or a few days in advance. I'm soaking 1 pound of dry chickpeas. The water can be cold or room temperature. I prefer to cook the chickpeas myself, but feel free to use canned chickpeas. This is approximately equivalent to 4 15-ounce cans. I'm going to let these soak in the fridge at least overnight or up to a few days. After soaking, I'm going to drain and rinse the chickpeas. Be sure to pick out any weird looking ones that are discolored. Transfer to a pot and boil them for about 30 to 40 minutes or until they're soft. I'm just boiling them in plain water with no salt or anything else added. You can rinse the chickpeas with cold water to cool them down if you want to make hummus right away, or just store them in the fridge for up to a few days until you're ready to use them. Let's move on to the pita dough. I'm measuring out 300 grams of bread flour, but feel free to use all-purpose flour if you have that instead. I add 200 grams of sprouted whole wheat flour, but regular whole wheat flour works just as well. I add 2 teaspoons of Himalayan pink salt, 1 tablespoon of white sugar, 1 teaspoon of active dry yeast, and 3 tablespoons of olive oil. By the way, you can substitute the white sugar for any type of sweetener, such as date syrup or coconut sugar, or you can just leave it out. Then I mix in 1½ cups of warm water. You'll notice I don't bother blooming my yeast in warm water, and I just add it directly to the dry ingredients. For many years, I've consistently done this with the yeast I get from nuts.com and have never had a problem. The fewer steps, the better in my book. I like to use a mixture of bread flour and whole wheat flour because the bread flour makes these pitas soft and chewy, and the whole wheat flour gives them a wonderful nutty flavor. But feel free to use all whole wheat or all white flour. If you use all white flour, you'll want to decrease the water to 1¼ cups instead, since it absorbs less flour than whole grain flour. I'm just mixing until there's no dry flour left. There's still clumps, but I'm going to let the dough rest for about 30 to 60 minutes and then do some gentle folds to fully mix the dough. This time allows the flour to hydrate, so the dough will be much smoother and more elastic. That way I don't have to do any heavy kneading. I'm going to let the dough rise until it's about double in volume. This will take about 1 to 2 hours depending on your room temperature. Look how poofy it is! I'm going to divide the dough into 8 pieces. I I shape each piece into a ball and place it into a floured pan to proof again for about half an hour. Going in the order I made the balls, I'm going to gently roll them out into discs and place them on a parchment-lined baking sheet. I like my pitas fluffy, so these have a good thickness to them. You can make them thinner if you prefer. Now here's the best part. I love watching them puff up as they bake. Once they're puffed up, flip them over so the top gets browned. You can also cook these on the stove over medium heat for a few minutes on each side. Flip the pita when it rises and cook it until it's brown to your liking. This is actually my preferred method because the pitas get this delicious toasty flavor from the cast iron and end up with a chewier texture, but I'm less likely to get a pocket this way. While the pitas are cooling, let's make the hummus. This is completely optional, but I like to add red pepper to my hummus. I just add them in raw, but feel free to roast or saute them before adding them in. To the cooked chickpeas, I add 2½ teaspoons of Himalayan pink salt, 1 teaspoon of ground black pepper, 1/3 cup of lemon juice, 1/3 cup of olive oil, 4 cubes of frozen garlic, which is equivalent to 4 large cloves, and 1/2 cup of tahini. I use a high quality jarred lemon juice because I don't always have fresh lemon on hand. It still tastes great, but feel free to use fresh squeezed lemon juice instead. Yeah, this is a huge container of tahini. I make hummus so often that I buy the tahini in bulk. The red pepper adds some moisture, so the consistency becomes really creamy. If you aren't adding red pepper, you might need a few tablespoons of water to thin the hummus out a bit. Give the hummus a taste and adjust the seasonings to your preferences. You might want more salt, pepper, or even garlic. If you want a richer hummus, add more of the olive oil or tahini. Homemade hummus not only tastes way better than the store-bought stuff, but it's so much cheaper. This bag of chickpeas only costs about $1.40 and makes 8 cups of hummus. Just 1 cup of hummus from the store could be $4 or more. I divide this huge batch into 4 2-cup containers. I keep one in the fridge to eat right away and store the rest in the freezer. This hummus freezes so well. Just defrost it overnight in the fridge and it's ready to eat the next day. See how easy it is to make homemade pita and hummus? If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more easy cooking and baking videos, and say hi in the comments. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time. Bye!